Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have a very, very special guest for the show today. Can you go ahead and announce to the world who you are and where you're calling from?
My name is SHAWNEE Harley, and I live in British Columbia, Canada.
Wow. So how's the weather in Canada?
Okay, full disclosure, I run away from winter in Canada because I
Yes.
don't want to shovel snow. And so I spend winters in Arizona, and it's nice and warm today.
Congratulations. I'm glad it's nice and toasty over there. Can we talk about your past leading up into your present, please?
Sure. I'm a two-time Olympian as an assistant coach. And sport brings the highest highs and the lowest lows, doesn't it? The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. I experienced at the 2016 Olympics in Rio the highest highs I had ever experienced in my life. And then a few days later, the lowest low that I had ever experienced in my life. Because winning is awesome and losing sucks.
Yes. Yes.
And we lost, and we shouldn't have. And that put me into a deep darkness. But when I emerged, I asked myself two questions. What didn't I see? What did I see but refused to look at? And the answers to those questions brought me to where I am today. I'm a mental toughness coach, and I work with athletes and their parents and their coaches.
How long have you been doing this, Miss Harley?
Well, I'm going to say since 2012. So that's quite a long time, isn't it?
Yes. And tell me, were you ever in like athletic, because you look athletic build. So were you ever in the Olympics or did anything within the Olympics?
I've been an athlete my whole life.
Cool.
I wrote in my high school yearbook that I wanted to be in the Olympics as a basketball player. Problem is, I'm 5'5" on tall days, and I just have loved sport my whole life. I got to play college basketball, but again, let's kind of be honest here. I sat on the bench for 3 years at one of the best programs in Canada. And so I became a really good cheerleader. So I was a good athlete, but I was never an elite athlete. But to this day, I'm still an athlete. I'm an adult athlete, and I love to compete.
Well said. Take me on a journey where you actually like coach somebody in the Olympics. Take me, how many weeks was it? What did you do each week? Take me on a journey.
You know, having gotten to experience these Olympic athletes up close and personal, it is absolutely remarkable what they can do, not just with their bodies, but with their minds. The sacrifices, we only get to see them on TV. And so we get to I call it the fluff, right? We get to see the fluff. We don't get to be in their day-to-day and see the substance. And the load that they carry is unbelievable. And when I was coaching, I didn't know what I know today about how important the mind game is. And so it might be valuable for your listeners to see what I've learned about how many things I didn't know. But at the time, right, you don't know what you don't know. But now I do know.
Yes.
And this is how I help my clients. When a parent signs their athlete up to work with me, at least one parent has to sign up as well. And there's a reason for that. It takes a village To be able to have a strong mental game is really darn hard. And this is the very first question that I ask the parent and the athlete. What's your deepest fear? Because think about how that holds us back in life. In sport, what my experience is that when we are trying to show up as our greatest self, if we haven't faced our deepest fear, how are we supposed to show up as our greatest self? How often do we show up as our scared self? So I help my clients face F words. Fear is one of them. Feelings is another one. Failure is another one. That's the journey, I believe, to having a strong mind game.
Well said. And tell me, like, what sport did they compete in? What sports did they compete in?
Well, they people that I work with compete in every sport. And to tell you the truth, life is a sport.
That's
I
true.
mean, we're competing every day in our life to show up as the greatest version of ourselves. That's why I think sport is just such a wonderful context for life. And I'll tell you the other thing that I've noticed, it doesn't matter the sport. And it doesn't matter what path people are on in their life outside of sport. We all have the same problems. We're all afraid. We're afraid all the time. Our fear speaks. We worry about what people think. We worry about how we look. We worry about what we're going to say. We're in this fear, and I believe we don't know what to do about it. And here's what sports says. Fake it till you make it. Suck it up, princess. Just get out there and be confident. You got this. I think that's all bad advice. I think it is the opposite of emotional intelligence. If we're going to show up as our greatest self, how can we do it when we're hiding, when we're faking it, when we're avoiding, when we're pushing our truth under the carpet?
Okay. What is the diet? Well said, by the way. What is the diet system like? What kind of diet do they go on? Let's say you were doing Olympics coaching for your favorite sport, which was basketball. Tell me, like, what would the diet be in the exercise regimen?
It's ridiculous.
I believe
It's so hard. I mean, if you think about the Olympics kind of like a funnel, right? And a funnel gets narrower at the top. So few people fit through the top of that funnel. Like, to get up there, it is, again, I got to be around these Olympic athletes, the women on our team. I got to be around them every day. And I just remember thinking, I'm so glad I'm not an athlete. I'm so glad I'm a coach. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do what they do. The discipline that they have to have with their rest and their recovery, and that includes their nutrition, what they're putting in their body, because they're trying to be like finely tuned Formula One race cars. So you have to put in the highest level octane gas. I don't even know if that's the right word for Formula One, but they have to fuel themselves to be these incredible race cars. Not only that, you should see them in the weight room. It's unbelievable. They're strong, they're fit, they're agile, they're athletic, they're flexible. For those things to happen, what I think sets them apart from the rest of us is their self-discipline, to make themselves do the things that they don't want to do. They do it anyway.
wow. In 2012, you started, and tell me about a story that you coached, like when you coached one person, just one story, and how that transformed that person into a better person.
I'll give you a recent story.
Okay.
I was working with an athlete, and this athlete was getting prepared. So I think I had about a month to work with the athlete to prepare them for the biggest tournament of the year. And this was the athlete's last time to be there. They were a college athlete. Their eligibility was done. Biggest, most important tournament of the year. Everything riding on this tournament. And this athlete was underperforming leading up to it, not playing up to the potential, right? We hear that all of the time. Well, you're not playing to your potential. Underperforming. And here's what was super cool is when I worked with that athlete, that was my first question. Tell me your deepest fear. And the deepest fear was disappointing other people, worrying that what if we don't even get to this tournament? What if we get eliminated before that? How many people will I disappoint? How many people are relying on me? And the other fear that comes in is not just disappointing people, but an acronym that I called FOPO, F-O-P-O, fear of people's opinions. Worrying about negative judgment. What if people think, what if we underperform? What if we don't get there? What if we lose? What will people think of me? What negative judgment will they have about me? That was the deepest fear. And I'm like, well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because people have opinions about us all the time. What was most exciting for me is as we worked together, we had a text conversation the night before the first game of this, the biggest tournament of the year. And I said, how do you feel? I didn't say, how are you doing? I said, how do you feel? And I'm paraphrasing, but the athlete said something like, I feel great. And here was the part I thought was awesome. The athlete said this, I feel great. I know the storm is coming, but I'm prepared to handle it. I know who I am. I trust in my training. I trust my coaches. I trust my teammates. We don't need to be anything more than we are. We are enough as is. You know why I loved it?
Why?
Because that athlete had learned to save themselves. I believe that's the biggest gift that I can give to a client is to teach them to be independent, to teach them you have it inside of you. I just need to guide you. I need to give you some tools. But on the biggest day, the biggest stage of your life, your greatest self can show up. And when the storm comes, you know what to do about it. You can save yourself. You don't need me. That's liberating.
Okay. And you well said, by the way. You're on fire right now. Tell me about not literally, but tell me about
I love it.
tell me about nutrition, like your nutrition therapy regimen that you do. Like, do you use whey protein, bee pollen, or different like collagen, whatever, like tell me.
That's just such, you know what? That question is so interesting because what it made me think of is if I think of me 20 years ago, and then I think of me 10 years ago, and then I think of me now, I think about how much that has changed. And my philosophy these days is less is more.
Okay.
Less of, no, yes, I contradicted myself. Less is more. And I think I do a better job now than I did before of listening to my body, say, Do I need to put this in my body right now? And when I do put something in my body, I say to myself, how did that feel? Did I do it because I needed it? Or did I do it because it fulfilled some feeling, right? It was an emotional reason why I did it, rather than this is something that I believe my body needs and I'm going to get big return on my investment. So these days, I am less is more. I don't have any supplements. Oh, that's not true. I do take some vitamins.
Yeah.
And then you know what? Because I'm active, I also allow myself some treats. And my favorite treat?
What?
Peanut butter, chocolate, Haagen-Dazs, ice cream. Boom.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Because, you know, at this point, I'm like, you know what? I love ice cream. So I'm going to go be active. I'm going to do all the things that I need to do. I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to get the right amount of sleep, the right amount of nutrition, and I get to have a treat. Not every day. I don't have a treat every day, but I do have weekly treats.
Okay. Wow. You look good, by the way. And not put that on God. You look good. You know, you've been on this life for almost a century, if not a century, but a half a century. So tell me about your career. Like, you've been a coach, you've gotten your master's degree. So let's take it back to school. You know, how was school growing up, you know, in college to get your master's for coaching? You know, was it hard, easy? What would you recommend to the people out there that wants to know how they can get their master's in coaching in Canada?
Well, I think that anything worth having is usually hard. I just don't think there's any free rides. And if there is a free ride, you're going to a place that isn't worth going to anyways. So, yes, it was hard. And I'm glad for that. I think that when we commit to something and it requires us to be committed to it, I think it grows a lot of things like grit and resilience. And I think those are wonderful characteristics to have. So yes, it was hard. But I'll tell you what else I've learned as I've gotten older. You know, isn't it funny, this thing about getting older? My grandpa used to say this: so soon old, so late smart.
Yeah.
Growing up, I'm like, Grandpa, what are you talking about? Look how smart I already am. I got my master's degree. As I'm older now, I believe that I am wiser, and I think being wise is different than being smart. And I prided myself in being smart. But you know what? I would choose wise any day. My master's degree and all of the training and all of the schooling, all of those things that I did were super important, and they were necessary, and I liked it. And I got really smart. And now I hope I've transformed that smartness to wisdom.
Have anybody ever told you you look like Jamie Lee Curtis? I know you had to hear that before.
No, I haven't, but thank you. I'm taking that.
You know, where do you see yourself going in the future?
Remember I told you that I always thought I was so smart? Well, I thought that I was going to be an Olympic basketball player. Then I thought I was going to be a basketball coach for my whole life because I was so smart. These days, where I'm going and where I want to continue going is I want to continue to serve. I believe that every single one of us is meant to stand on top of the podium and win a gold medal. But I believe the most important podium is the podium of life. And I'm helping people stand tall and proud on that podium. that's the journey I'm on. Do you know how enjoyable and rewarding and fulfilling that is? And so at this point, I don't feel another calling. I feel I'm exactly where I need to be, doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing.
Well said. Like everybody, if y'all don't know who she is, if you're just joining, this is SHAWNEE Harley. She's a coach and she's coached people through the Olympics. Like she is on fire right now. And how can the people reach you?
Well, they can. The best place to find me is on my website, which is my first and last name, ShawneeHarley.com. And I'm sure you probably have that in your show notes. People can find me on social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. And I coach not just athletes, but I also coach people in the game of life. And holy cows, I really hope what people heard what I said. The podium is waiting. It's waiting for every single one of us. The podium of life is calling your name.
If somebody wanted to reach out to you to, try to do coaching, like we know your email addresses and everything, but tell me what do you do for them? Like you don't have to sell yourself or nothing, but tell me like what would you do for them if they were in America since you're in Canada? How would y'all meet?
You know what? Most of my clients are in the US.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's the great thing about what you and I are doing right now. Everything that I do is virtual. And I think that has made it so much easier for all of us to connect worldwide and to share knowledge and to share experiences and to share coaching. I do everything virtually.
Do you have any classes or anything that
Yes.
Yeah, tell me about that.
I have classes, I have workshops, I have self-directed online training, and my favorite is I do one-on-one coaching. That's my favorite because it's kind of like this. Like when you get to connect with a person like this, there's a lot of power in that. So those are all the different training modes that I have available for people. And every single one of those are listed on my website.
Thank you so much, Miss Harley. Stay on the line. You guys take care. Give a round of applause for her. That has to be so hard being a coach like that. Like, oh my God, my heart goes out to you. So take care, y'all. Be safe, and I'll be back on here later. Bye.